All right.
We have Adewale here with us.
Yes.
He's also here to take a look at the budget, the delaying signing of the budget. We thank you for your time on TVC Breakfast this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Good morning. Just like my colleague said, what is your reaction and concern about the delay of the passage of this budget?
Well, my reaction is that the National Assembly is not being pragmatic, and they are not looking at the pains and the goings on in the country. And particularly from an investor's angle, any investor worldwide, first and foremost, will look at your budgetary provision for growth in your country before bringing in their capital for investment. And once they see that it fluctuates, it presumes that there's no guarantee on investment, and the best they can do is go elsewhere. So the budget is very, very important. But I do differ a bit from your budgetary analysis in terms of the year span of the budget. Ideally, a very good budget should concentrate on capital infrastructure provision. Like, I mean, just to put it in a very mild way, capital project provision. And you see that you can do more of capital during the dry season. So it presumes that a very good budgetary year should start anytime from August up till around March or say April. By the time you move down, you're moving down to the wet period, rainy season. You do more of recurrent expenditure. And the major thing you can do is invest more in agriculture. And since Nigeria needs a lot of infrastructure provision, it means that our budget calendar must be adjusted a bit. And of course, the National Assembly should also work with the timeline. If indeed they are there to work for the Nigerian people, they should stick to a particular calendar, regardless of the rancorous situation they might have within the political divide. But the interest of Nigerians and Nigeria should always come first.
Okay, good thing that you're here. You're the chairman, former chairman, as a former local government chairman in Lagos State, and of course you've passed couple of budgets before as relates to the people at the grassroots. So it's good we are talking about the people. And we still have with us on the phone Mr. Abdul.
We have Lukman. Lukman is back on now.
Okay, so Abdurrahim Lukman.
Joining us.
Yes, an economist. And if you've been listening to the discussion this morning, it's on the delay of the budget, the passage of the budget. And our guest here just said there should be a bit adjustment in the calendar of the budget. Do you agree with that?
All right, signals say we have lost.
I'm still very much on.
Okay, that's great. Lukman, it's good to have you this morning. Good morning. Now, my colleague was asking you earlier to react to the delay in the passage of the budget generally from the economic perspective.
Personally, from the point of view of economics and finance, budget is not an instrument to be delayed. The process for preparation of budget must start early so that those who need to have input and the evaluation of the budget before presentation will have ample opportunity to do that. But unfortunately, the government of President Muhammadu Buhari, maybe because this is the first year, performed very low in that particular regard. Initially, there were errors, and those who were responsible have been fired. This is a negative to the administration. It shows those who are in charge of budget preparation are probably not competent to do the work. Secondly, the completion of the draft was presented to National Assembly very late. And of course, at the National Assembly, they must do their work thoroughly. And at the end of the day, there were disagreements too, that some things were left out. So we want APC government to get its act together to do the needful, because delay in budget has serious socio-economic and political implications on the economy. So come next year, we want the budget to be prepared early and presented to the National Assembly for consideration and appropriation.
Okay, Mr. Abdurrahim, even more worrisome to some Nigerians is the issue that the fiscal year, every year, budget for fiscal year don't exhaust. We don't get to exhaust what we have for the fiscal year from the beginning of democratic administration in Nigeria, and you have a lot of abandoned projects rolled over to the following year and sometimes never touched. Do you agree with that?
Yes, when budget is presented late, the implication is that the ministry concerned and agencies of government, they will not be able to do the needful. Look at the current budget. You have funds earmarked for road construction, rail construction. And if you look at the year, this is the first month of the year. So when do you expect the ministry to sit down and do the needful as far as procurement, appointment of contractors, and so on and so forth? But previously, budget is presented not because the content will be implemented, rather the money will be shared among the contractors and policymakers. You can see the pronouncement of the current administration that so many contracts were awarded from 2007 thereabout till date, and they were not executed. So the reason why the budget is delayed is that even the content, the implementers are not even sincere with the content, but a genuine budget will be prepared early so that ministry concerned, agency concerned, we have ample opportunity to set goals and targets for the actualization of the capital projects. That is my take on that.
All right. Now Ayodele, let me come to you on this. You have been a chief executive of a local government before. You have done budget presentation generally. Now, the issue of the checks and balances between the legislature and the executive on one hand, and the issue of harmony when it comes to we are the same political party. How do you reconcile that thin line between we are supposed to check you as far as the budget is concerned, and we're also supposed to be in harmony?
Well, for the system of check and balance, it's very appropriate that it be there, but you should also understand that before this budget are put together, people go back to different constituencies to know what is desirable for their growth. And you must have input of the local community in the budget. And these legislators also belong to a certain constituency or the other. So if truly they are in tune with their communities, they should be part of the broad budget ab initio. So when you are bringing the budget to the assembly, it is for them to relook into the budget and see how the budget can be very realistic, particularly when it concerns to inflow of resources. You understand, there should be a balance in that approach. But again, the legislative arm of government will also come up with an excuse that they also need to carry out some certain function for their own communities. I mean, they call it a community project, as the case is. But I differ from it a bit because, I mean, what is the work of the executive and what is the work of the legislators? They are to make laws. The executive are to carry out and implement all of these provisions. But I think the staggered system is caused as a result of some ongoing realities between the executive and the legislative arm of government. And of course, people want to throw spanners into the wheel in order to make one bend for their own self-purpose.
Okay, Mr. Abdulrahim, if you're still there with us, one of the highlights from the presidency is the issue of constituency projects that were not immediately maybe highlighted before the budgets were taken to the presidency for assent. And the president highlighted that. And from what our guest just said, now there should have been an early consultation with the people in their constituency to know what they want. So do you think the National Assembly also share in this blame?
I think, to be fair to the National Assembly, the time it took them to consider the budget is fairly okay, but the delay was actually from the executive. What we expect subsequently is that the National Assembly should prepare their constituency input early enough and submit it to the relevant executive arm of to the executive for consideration and input into the draft. So by the time the budget now resurfaces for final appropriation, it will take very limited time for consideration, as rightly mentioned by your guest in the studio. You see, we don't have time in our hands. Budget preparation should start in the last quarter of a particular year so that by December and January, it will go to the National Assembly for consideration, appropriation, and approval before the end of January. That is what is done in developed economy and responsible countries.
All right, Lukman, I'm going to ask you and my guest in the studio this same question, but let me start with you. Earlier, you talked about, you said there are going to be social, economic, and political implications to the delay of the passage of this budget. Now, if you have to put it in perspective to the average Nigerian, what are these implications and how do they play out? Oh, we lost the line there. Okay, Adel, let me come to you. You are a grassroots man. You've worked with people. You know what they go through on a daily basis. How will this delay in the passage affect the people on a daily basis? How will it translate to the everyday living?
One is that it's going to put food out of the table of people, because there's no genuine government that can spend money out of appropriation. No matter how you love someone, even if the person is dying and there is no provision for fund to save that person, once you go out of line, you understand, you have committed wrongdoing. That is how the law is, you understand. And the budget is a very powerful instrument that should be followed stricto sensu. And like I've said, Nigeria is struggling right now. Our economy is struggling. And if you have somebody that wants to come help you, the person first and foremost will want to see how viable your economy is for investment. And if your economy is not viable, nobody wants to come waste money. It's not a charity thing. You understand? They are not coming to donate. Even the donor agencies want to see the right framework. You understand? So that if they put their money, they'll be assured that their money will get to the right end. So when the framework is not there, there's no how people will come to help us. So I think the National Assembly should understand the reason why they need to expedite the approval of this budget. And I do hear about the railway issue and all that. You see, as long as the minister have come to you to discuss this matter, and as claimed by the minister that he has submitted a document to back up his needs, what is expected of National Assembly to do is to look within the provision of this need that have been presented and see whether they can bring in money into it. And if the fund is not there, they can still do variance they call it, pull money from different departments, shorten their expenditure, and look at the railway project that, look, this railway project is more important for our growth. Take, for instance, the only, very viable port that we have in Nigeria is the Apapa port. So how do you get goods and services down to the South-South region where these goods are mostly needed? And of course, through taxation and all of that, the country can also annex funds for other constituents of our federating unit to develop. They should look within that context and stop saying that they should bring in supplementary budget. You see, the stream about the supplementary budget is for you to have an extra life. So what is the point in you using your extra life when you have just started your journey? Are we going to keep asking for all of these things? The international community will not see us as being very serious.
Okay, so in a nutshell, what you're saying, this is going to erode some business confidence, talking about foreign direct investment.
It's going to kill investor confidence.
And things like that. But we had the spokesman for the House of Representatives here just a few days ago, and his reaction was that, his grouse really was that inclusion shouldn't have originated from the minister. It should come from the presidency. According to the appropriation, it's not in the place of the minister when a budget has been looked into, passed by the National Assembly. There's going to be any inclusion, it should come from the presidency. Be that as it may, there also, the point why they raised also was that they are trying to fight corruption. Well, as it is now, is the country not enabling corruption without a set plan, macroeconomic policy for the country?
The minister is part of the presidency. That you must understand. The power of the president is vested in the minister. So if the minister has come forward, it is assumed that the president is speaking. And you also have legislators from this region of the country. And if truly they like and love their people, they should stand up and defend this. For any country to develop, like we have said, we must remove pressure from our roads. And if indeed we have been clamoring for our rail system to come back alive, particularly rail going from Lagos, which is the economic nerve center of the country, to any part of the country, it should be supported. The National Assembly also have the powers. Even if some provisions have been put forward, and they look at it within their own perspective, saying that this provision will not be enough for the development of their own constituent, they have the right to advocate for it and put it in the budget. The major thing is, what the minister is saying, is it going to lead to the development of the Nigerian people? And the answer is yes. Our roads are far stretched. They are far stretched. So if a rail project is coming up, it is for the benefit of the Nigerian people. And of course, the dredging of the River Niger, you understand, up to the farthest part of the north must also be encouraged so that we can have sea like the Panama Canal coming in from the Atlantic, moving in through the River Niger down to the Benue, so that all services, goods, and all whatnot will get to every corner of the country, which will also create jobs for our people.
All right. We must thank you for your time on TVC Breakfast this morning. We've been speaking with a former local government chairman in Lagos State, Ayodele Adewale. Thanks.